Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nivodata. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. These are the powerful words from Kathopanishad but made famous by Swami Vivekananda, which continues to echo across generations. But a question naturally arises as to what is this goal Swamiji is talking all about? What is the mission for which he urges the humanity to rise and awaken? It is this very question, and Swamiji's answer to it is what I wish to explore today through the book I am introducing. Namaste everyone, I am Samruddhi Shastri, and today I am here to introduce you all to a book, Lectures from Colombo to Almora by Swami Vivekananda. This book is not just a work of imagination or philosophy written in isolation. It is a living record of Swami Vivekananda's direct dialogue with the nation delivered at a critical moment in India's history. After his historic success in the West, Swamiji returned to the East in 1897, arriving at Colombo in the British Ceylon on 15th of January, and then traveling through Colombo and Jaffna, where his powerful voice awakened thousands. He soon reached Pamban in the southern India, and from there journeyed extensively across the country, addressing students, scholars, householders, and leaders. His lectures during this journey became powerful calls for national awakening, touching upon religion, culture, spiritual, education, social reform, and the strength of the Indian soul before he finally reached Almora on 19th of June 1897. The lectures delivered during this entire journey were later compiled into a book which is now known as Lectures from Colombo to Almora. So this book approximately has almost 439 pages, and it is divided deeply into several thoughtful chapters, and it is published by Advaita Ashrama. It is a renowned publication house of the Ramakrishna Mutt. The book has also been translated into many other Indian languages, making Swamiji's message accessible to readers beyond English and allowing his thoughts to reach a much wider audience across the country. The richness of this book is that each chapter itself can be spoken about and discussed for hours, and it is impossible to do justice to the entire book within a given limited time. Therefore, instead of attempting to cover everything, I would like to divide it into several important themes and highlight only a few selected ideas, according to me, which makes this book particularly powerful and relevant. What makes this book truly special is that it captures Swamiji's thoughts in action, not as a distant philosopher, but as a guide, a patriot, a teacher, and a fearful reformer, speaking directly to the people of India, aiming at awakening the nation's inner strength. The major focus is on how Swamiji explains the greatness of our motherland and the greatness of our religion. He points out that the great demonstration of Hinduism in the West was not made by any great politician, a millionaire, or a public figure, but by a begging sannyasin, showing the natural tendency of the Hindu mind towards the religion. Swamiji humbly says that what he has done is very little, though it appears tremendous to the world, and that he has only shown a path for the generations to come. He explains that religion is the backbone of the national life of India, and without religion, our nation cannot stand. Swamiji describes India as a Punya Bhumi, the sacred land of karma. He says that if there is any land on the earth that can claim to be blessed, the land to which the souls must come to work out their karma, the land to which every soul moving Godward must come to attain its last home, the land where humanity has reached its highest gentleness, generosity, purity, calmness, and above all, the land of introspection and spirituality, that land is India. He further says that we Hindus have always been the blessed children of God, and that we have had the wonderful ideas which have been carried forward from generations to generation. Each of these great ideas, Swamiji says, has been soaked in a deluge of blood, showing the sacrifices made to preserve them. He explains how peaceful and beautiful our religion is, where every word has a blessing behind it and peace before it. He says that despite countless ups and downs, our civilization has endured, while many once glorious nations rose briefly and vanished, because our age-old customs, refined through centuries of thought and experience, have made us resilient, constant, and stronger with every challenge. He explains that while in other nations, religion is one among many occupations of life, in India, religion is the one and only occupation of life. Swamiji then explains the similarity of life of an individual and that of a race by comparing the life of an individual with that of a race, explaining that an individual's present is is shaped by an infinite past through the karma, and that the use of the present determines the future. And what is true of an individual is also true of a race, for every race has a peculiar bent, a mission of its own, and must work out its destiny. Further, he declares that India's philosophy and spirituality are ever ready to flow through new-made channels into the veins of the world, that the calm Hindu brain must contribute to the sum total of human progress, and that India's gift to the world is spiritual light, spread not by fire and sword, but by fascination, slow and silent, yet profound. He explains the nature of the soul and the universe according to the Indian philosophy, speaking of the oneness of the infinite, the impersonal absolute, the eternal soul, the continuity of beings, and the infinity of the universe, clarifying the Vedanta, the Puranas, the Shrutis and the Smritis, the change of the customs with the changing yugas, and the distinction between the eternal truths and the changing laws based on karma. Quoting Ekam Satvipra Bahuda Vadanti, which we say in Kannada, Devarobbane Nama Halavu, he quotes that Shiva and Vishnu are the same one reality, making India the land of toleration, where dualists and monists alike are good Hindus, and concluding that worship in any form reaches the one Lord, the one soul of all souls, a truth lived daily in India and forming her great religious mission to the world. Further, Swami Vivekananda explains what Vedanta and what Vedantism means, the origin and the meaning of the word Hindu, and the significance of the Vedas, speaking of the Rishis, the eternity of the Vedas, and their division into Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, and why he prefers the term Vedantist over the term Hindu. He explains the laws of cycle or pralaya, why creation is better understood as projection, and how life begins and ends through the cycle of birth and death, while defining the God and Brahman as eternal, pure, awake, almighty, all-knowing, all-merciful, omnipresent, formless and partless. He raises the question of inequality in birth and explains it through karma, comparing it to the rain falling equally on all the fields where only the well-cultivated benefit. He further explains the difference between the soul and the mind, the Atma and the Manas or Sukshma Sharira, stating that when the Atma attains the perfection, birth and death ceases, and that the goal of the soul is moksha. He finally explains the personal and impersonal aspects of God, showing that misery arises from the sense of separateness, while liberation comes from realizing our unity with the infinite impersonal reality. Swamiji further explains what real worship is and emphasizes purity of mind and body, saying that without purity, entering a temple and worshipping is useless. He explains the true meaning of the term Tirtha, the place of pilgrimage, and explains that sins committed in ordinary places can be removed, but if sins are committed in a holy place, it becomes very difficult to remove, which is expressed in the verse Anya Kshetre Kritam Papam Tirtha Kshetre Vinakshati Tirtha Kshetre Kritam Papam Vajralepeha Prajayate. The essence of all worship, he concludes, is purity and doing good to others. Furthermore, Swamiji calls upon the young generations in his lectures to rise and work for the nation and religion, saying that even a small amount of religious work brings immense result. He stresses that religion alone is the backbone of our motherland, the bedrock upon which the life is built. In West, he says the goal of life is this world, with religion coming in quietly as a helper. But in India, God alone is the goal. Ours is a true religion because it teaches that God alone is true, the world is fleeting, wealth is dust, power is finite, and life itself is often filled with suffering. Above all, it is the true religion because it teaches renunciation, not enjoyment, as the path of the ultimate goal. So coming back to the words which I began with, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varanni Bodhata, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Lectures from Colombo to Almora shows us what Swami Vivekananda meant by this call. Through these lectures, he urges us to awaken from the hypnotism of weakness and reminds us that none of us are truly weak, for the soul is infinite, omnipotent and omniscient. Page after page, this book calls upon to stand up, assert ourselves and proclaim the God within us, and warns us that inactivity, self-denial and loss of faith in ourselves have only weakened our race. Swamiji therefore asks us to de-hypnotize ourselves through our own sacred literature to understand our real nature and to awaken the sleeping soul which is in the deep slumber, for when it is roused to self-conscious activity, power, glory, goodness, purity and everything excellent excellent naturally follows. As we read this book, we realize that these lectures are not merely the words spoken more than a century ago, but a living call addressed to each one of us even today. And so I would like to conclude by leaving you with a simple question of thought for reflection. If one man, Swami Vivekananda, within a short span of life could create such a tremendous impact on the world through his thought, word and action, why cannot each one of us do at least a little work in our own way inspired by this book for our religion and our motherland? Dhanyavada. Namaste.
सदा विवेका